that means, Rod.
I guess everybody can tell that Paul's back home in Las Vegas tonight.
We're back, baby. We're back.
Anyway, good evening to the 9th episode of the Evening Buzz tonight, and we're going to be talking about how to squash the pyramid objection that I hear from a lot of people still every day. So if you're on the Google Plus page, let me activate the Q&A real quick. So if you guys get that, just throw a question there in the Q&A and say yes or no whether you are getting that in your business. So just kind of curious about that. Anyway, Paul's got a nice little presentation he put together for tonight, so I'm gonna hand it over to Paul, and we'll go from there.
Hey guys and gals, Paul Charron coming at you, and yes, the streaming live from Las Vegas, Nevada is an actual fact. We actually, we're back home, we're rocking and rolling. We streamed, Sunday night from El Paso, Texas, Rod. We did Monday night from Tucson, Tuesday night from a friggin' McDonald's in Wickenburg, Arizona, out in the middle of nowhere. A little tiny town. We had a lot of fun there. Ran into a high school, girls' high school basketball team who came on with us for a while. So if you see the recording of that, pretty cool. And tonight, back home in beautiful, sunny, it's actually dark right now, Las Vegas, Nevada. So a lot of fun. And see, I have my little thing up here. We're in the no whining zone, Ron.
Yeah, so didn't we stream from Mexico one night, or was that our Saturday webinar that we did?
We did our Saturday webinar for POW out of Mexico. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We did stream out of Mexico, and I did make it back from Mexico. For those of you who maybe weren't watching or kept following on Facebook, I actually traveled into Mexico without my passport like a dummy. And I drove down there, never even thought of it because my wife's not here to take care of me. I jumped in the car, drove 720 miles, and crossed the Mexican border without a passport. So it was a little interesting coming back home. It actually wasn't as much of a hassle as I thought it was going to be, Rod. It was literally, I had other ID on me, and of course, we drove up, and I told the guy, I said, hello,
they
officer.
Probably didn't want to keep you.
Well, that's part of it, but I was already back. At that point, you're already back in the United States, and I basically said, officer, I'm going to apologize in advance for being the worst border crosser today. And he just kind of laughed, and he goes, I doubt that very much, but what do you got? And I said, here's my ID, here's my wife's ID and resident alien card, and I do not have my passport with me. And he was like, oh, but you do have a passport? I said, yes. He did all his little thing, and they can actually see that. So as long as you have a passport, you're good, and have other ID. He said some people try to pass without any identification, no driver's license, passport, birth certificate, or anything, and he goes, and that gets a little bit interesting. So wound up not being too bad. So tonight, Rod, we're here to talk about the pyramid objection. So we're really kind of reaching out to the network marketers here today. We're in the network marketing industry. I'm a network marketing professional. Rod's a network marketing professional, and we also do other stuff as far as internet marketing and things like that as well. But tonight about the pyramid objection, do you run into that every now and then, Rod?
I do. Every once in a while you hear that, and it's, I have a hard time from just, busting up laughing actually when I hear that because it's just so crazy.
No, I agree, and we don't probably hear it as much as we used to. You usually hear that in the beginning a lot because you don't know what to say or how to say it. You'll still, every now and then, you'll get that, but a lot of it is at first we run into it because we just don't present the stuff right. And a lot of times if you hear that objection, it's from people who don't know really anything about network marketing and how the whole thing works. So we're going to go over that a little bit tonight. We're going to have a little bit of fun because I agree with you. It's kind of a laughable thing. And as you know, everything that you can do or run into in the course of your lifetime, if you draw stuff out on paper, you can always, there's all those conspiracy theories that no matter what you do, you can always find a conspiracy in everything, and it's the same thing with this. You can always find a pyramid in every organizational chart. So let's give me just a second here. We'll flip over, go into the screen of death, and we'll get this rocking and rolling. So the pyramid objection, guys. So if you're out there, you're just new to the industry, and Rod and I dress exactly like that, black with a white tie. I actually have a white tie that I could dress like that, but I don't use it very much. But anyways, you get started. You don't? You don't have a black suit?
I've never owned a suit, actually.
You've never owned a suit? Well,
my whole mission in life when I started a home-based business, my main goal was to wear shorts every day to work.
That's not a bad goal. I like that. I like that. But see, I like cruises. So on a cruise, they have a nice night where you're supposed to actually wear a suit. So you don't have to wear a tie, but you at least have to wear a suit. So are you getting that all right, Rod? We're full screen. We don't have anything goofy going on?
Yep, we're good, man.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So you get started in the industry. You're excited about there. You get out, and you start talking to people. And this is all about avoiding the pyramid objection, because this is what happens when you first start, right, Rod? You get out there, you get your paper out, you're all excited, you draw your first circle, you draw your second circle, you're saying, here's your left team, here's your right team, and there's another person down here and a person down here, and are you starting to see the problem with this, folks? Are you starting to see what's happening here? You just literally drew a pyramid on a paper. Now, I mean, some people see a pyramid. I actually see a triangle, but again, it all depends on what those people are looking at objecting, because they can object for a number of reasons, but if you draw that on a piece of paper, it literally starts to look to them like a pyramid, and so they consider that a pyramid scheme. It's actually kind of comical. Now, stop drawing pyramids. Don't draw this on a piece of paper. You shouldn't be doing this and getting to this point of your presentation really until that person is already in. Why are you explaining this compensation plan really until they're already kind of agreeing that they want to see it further and they want to get into it? There's a whole lot other better things to present than that. If you're already here, you're probably in, you're probably getting the cart in front of the horse. But anyways, now, Rod, that was funny earlier when I showed this to you, because you said, when you see this, what do you see? And you see an organizational chart. And that is absolutely correct, guys. It's an organizational chart for a corporation. But I'll show you why this comes around in the end and helps you out. Because if you draw any organizational chart, here for a corporation, you got your president or CEO, your VP of sales, VP of ops, sales manager. If you draw this on a piece of paper, and let's say you use the zeros, it's a pyramid. So, for people to go, well, because of the way you drew that out on a piece of paper, it must be a pyramid scheme, that is, as Rod said earlier, is a laughable objection. It's just a little bit crazy. And the same could be said about anything. The Catholic Church, if you drew that on a piece of paper, it's a pyramid. If you look at the Boy Scouts and you draw that out on a piece of paper, you got your scoutmasters and your assistants and patrol leaders, it's a pyramid. If you look at the U.S. Department of Defense, guys, Secretary of Defense.
It's not a pyramid. It appears like a pyramid.
Right. It appears as a pyramid. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
your U.S. government, you have your president, vice president, Department of Defense, Department of Education, and you actually have all your different departments, and then you have the people in those departments. It appears as a pyramid. Now, let's look at your compensation plan in an organizational chart. It's the same thing. It's just an organizational chart, as simple as that, and it's how your pay schedule works out. And I'll show you here in a minute how corporate pay schedules work exactly the same thing. So you would have you at the top of the organizational chart, and then Billy, and then Sally on your left and right teams, and then you have Paul, Gail, Rod, and Sandy. Now look, if you eliminate you from that chart, now Billy's at the top of his organizational chart, and it goes down, and the same thing with Sally. So all it is an organizational chart, plain and simple. Has nothing to do with pyramids or a pyramid scheme. Now, I wanted to show this because it kind of like ties this all together and kind of helps you understand this, because people go, a lot of times the pyramid objection, Rod, is people at the top make all the money, right?
That's right. Yep.
Right. So here's salaries in corporation. I just looked this up today. Pretty interesting, actually. The Coca-Cola CEO, and I don't remember the guy's name, his actual salary, $1.5 million. And then you have your executive vice president, CFO, at 815, your executive vice president of Coca-Cola International. And then you have all the way down to your Coca-Cola regional sales manager at 83,000 and a Coca-Cola order builder at $11.37 an hour. Now, let me ask you a question, Rod. If a pyramid scheme is about the people at the top making all the money, that would, again, make this appear like it was a pyramid scheme. And obviously, we know that that is just not the case. Coca-Cola is not a pyramid scheme, and neither is any other corporation in America. Well, of course, you might, if you look at J.P. Morgan Chase or places like that, then we might be talking a different thing. But just because the person at the top makes the most money does not make it a pyramid. Now, let me ask you a question, Rod. Is that guy at $11.37 an hour ever going to make more than that Coca-Cola CEO?
If history has any indication, that would be a no.
No, not in the same company, in the same position that they're in. As a Coca-Cola order builder, there's no way that he's going to make that 1.5 million.
The only way he's going to make that money of the CEO is if he gets, ends up getting promoted to the CEO at some point.
Right. He works his way up through the company and does his thing until he's at the top, and then he gets to make that money. And it does happen. There's people that start as stock boys, and I'm trying to think of examples, but there are people that start as stock boys and they're worked their way up to the CEO. So that does happen. So if we look at an organizational chart for compensation plan, now I'm going to use the point system that we use in our company just because we know it. But let's say you're at the top and you have 100 points left and 1,200 points right, and we're not going to explain how you can actually get to there, but you'd be making approximately $1,600 a month. And this is going to show you how in a network marketing company, actually people at the bottom can make more money. So if you see Billy's over there at 99 points and 50, and Paul's down there and 98 and 4, he's not really doing too much. That Paul's a lazy guy, and he doesn't like to work too much.
Man, you need to step your game up, buddy.
That Paul guy needs to step his game up. Then you have Sally over there, and Sally looks like she's rocking. She's got 1,000 points left and 99 right. Now, how's that working out? See how that's starting to get a little bit strange, that she's almost as much as the guy on the top. And then Sandy underneath her, 6 and 98. Rod, he's really busting it. He's bringing people in the organization. He's doing his sales. He's meeting his numbers. He actually has 400 points on his team left and 599 points on his team right. So he's actually making it about $6,600 a month. And that's actually not points, guys. That would be coins. So I actually set that up wrong. But anyway, so that'd be coins.
Or people or whatever.
Or people or whatever, right? Depending on your company. Our company happens to be coins. But he'd be making $6,600 a month. So wait a minute. Look at that there. He would actually be making more than the person that's 2 levels above him in the compensation plan. Wow. If somebody's definition of a pyramid or a pyramid scheme is the person at the top making all the money, this would definitely show that that's not the case. It's just not the case.
That just blew that theory completely out of the water, didn't it?
Just blew that theory out of the water. Now, this doesn't have to be 2 levels down, guys. It's just there's not enough paper to show you 20 levels deep. But it could be 20 levels deep where that person just happens to be a superstar, networks really well, sells really well, and does a great job at building an organization, and they could do the same thing. Now, what I'm going to show you here in just a second, hopefully I remember to do this right. Now, and I need to go back, because one thing that you'll have people say, Rod, is that, well, you got to build a left team and a right team. Why do you have to do that? Why can't they just, build one straight line? Well, if you could just build one straight line, it would be very difficult for any company on the planet, including Coca-Cola, to pay the commissions that they pay to various peoples on various parts of their team. So in our particular pay plan, you have to build 2 teams, which I don't have a problem with. Hey, this is what they say. If you want to make money, you're going to build a left team and you're going to build a right team. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you had a straight line, really what you'd end up with is you'd have people that are lazy and not doing anything, making just as much as the person doing hard work if you had a straight line, and that's
Right.
and that's really not fair for
It's,
the person that's working their butt off.
I totally agree. It is not a fair compensation plan. If it was straight line well, that Paul guy over there on the left, you'd see that he would just be underneath Rod, and he would just kick back and not do anything and let Rod build the organization for him. It's not fair. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to, why did I just click on that now? It actually allows you to build your two teams, and the person who does a better job at building makes more money. So Rod, actually, if this was down underneath, if you could see underneath Rod, guys, there would be a huge organization down underneath Rod, because he is working the business, and he's helping people get started in their own businesses, and he's doing a lot. And because of that, he would make a lot of money. Now, people would say, well, normal business isn't like that. Absolutely not true. Because again, if you go back to this here, this is their salaries as it stands. This is their yearly salary. Now, what do you think happens, Rod, if this Coca-Cola CEO, he has his vice presidents doing great, he has the regional sales manager doing his job, and those guys are helping the order builders, and Coca-Cola International's rocking? What do you think happens to that guy's salary? Do you think it stays the same, or what do you think?
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm sure most CEOs, they have stipulations in their contracts or their employment agreement or whatever they have that have incentives based on total sales and
They
whatnot.
have incentives, absolutely incentives based on total sales. And last year, this guy did $14.1 million salary for having his company, for building his company up to be a multi-billion-dollar organization. They actually paid him more than what his salary came in at. And it's just an example of the fact that if you work the business and you do what you need to do to build that company up the way you should, you're going to make money. And the same thing is true with the network marketing.
Is Dr. Pepper a Coke or a Pepsi company? I can't remember.
It is, oddly enough, it is depending on where you are in the country, because some places it's distributed by, or maybe it might be some countries, it's distributed by Pepsi, and other companies or countries it's distributed by Coca-Cola. Back in Canada, when I first started drinking it when I was younger, it was distributed by Pepsi, I believe. It was a Pepsi product. So I don't know how that works, and I know Dr. Pepper for the most part now. Why do you ask? Because I probably...
Well, because, part of that, at least a couple of million of that was probably, due to your drinking habits.
Yeah, my son and I do go through a large portion of Dr. Pepper every single year. So part of that, the whole pyramid objection, guys, is just stop drawing pyramids. Don't draw pyramids. It's just, if you do that, you're going to get that objection, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to do about it at that point, because people, it's really kind of just ridiculous, the fact that because the organizational chart or the compensation plan happens to draw out on a piece of paper like that, that's a pyramid. I mean, but
yeah,
people
pretty much every business in the world, you can theoretically say it's some sort of a pyramid based on their org chart, but in reality, in reality, a pyramid really is far and few between nowadays. I mean, network marketing distributes product, and anything that if you're giving a product for what they're buying, and that definitely is not a pyramid. But I mean, we're not going to really go into that too much. I think I think, Paul, you had some stuff put together as far as some of the things that you can really ask as if somebody comes up with that objection. It's not about arguing with that person and trying to convince them of something different. It's really about getting down to the core of why they even think that way, and how to really start asking certain questions to get to the bottom of it, to help educate that person. That's really what it's all about.
Absolutely, because as you mentioned, now, guys and gals, again, don't get us wrong and think that we think every network marketing company or every MLM is a legitimate company, because you have to be careful. But it's up to you to do your research. Like Rod said, you're going to have a specific product or service that you're offering up. You want to make sure that that stuff is legitimate. You want to make sure that your company has been around a while and is doing things the right way. Do a little bit of research, but the reason that those two have gotten linked together is back in the 70s, Rod, when network marketing companies were coming up like crazy. The 1979 ruling where the FTC said Amway is not a pyramid. Amway did actually get charged for price fixing at that point, but that's a whole other thing. But they actually said, hey, it's a legitimate way to get a product to an end user, and it was growing so fast at the time and the whole word of mouth thing was so huge that there was a lot of companies that really latched onto that. A lot of companies that weren't doing things right, they latched onto that whole network marketing deal and thought, hey, we can make a lot of money on this. And that's when the pyramid thing got linked to network marketing. They really have nothing to do with each other, but because at that time one was so big and the other one was coming on so strong, they kind of got linked. But how you can combat that is ask questions, because a lot of people just don't know anything about the network marketing industry. So if someone immediately comes out and says, is this a pyramid scheme, you could really just say, no, pyramid schemes are illegal. And that, in some circumstances, are going to cut it right there. Say, no, I wouldn't be involved with anything illegal, and just be done with that. And that objection might just die off right away. But if they keep pressing it, you could get into what the part of what we just talked about now and say, okay, well, don't get mad, don't get upset, don't get irritated, because people don't know. If you don't know something and you legitimately ask somebody a question, like, I'm trying to think of another, I don't know, like scuba diving. If I ask somebody,
you could just merely just ask them, why do they, what is their definition of a pyramid, so that you can kind of help start dissecting, what their thought process is.
Right. No, absolutely. And I was going to get to that, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of they don't know about your industry. If I was to ask somebody about scuba diving or about something else, and I ask a stupid question, don't get mad at me because I didn't know about scuba diving or something. Just help me figure out why I don't know what I don't know. Same thing here. Ask them that question. Well,
sure.
What's your definition of a pyramid scheme? And they might say, well, it's where the people at the top make the most money. And then you can go, oh, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Does the local gas station owner, does he make more money than the guy who works the front counter? Well, of course. All right, good. Then we agree, but we agree that that is not a pyramid scheme, correct? No, that's correct. Okay, and then use Coca-Cola, for example, or Walmart, or any company you want. Say, look, the guy who is the president and CEO of Coca-Cola, he makes more money than the guy who stocks the shelves with Coca-Cola, does he not? Yes, he does. Okay, then that's the guy at the top makes more money than the guy at the bottom. Is Coca-Cola a pyramid scheme? Well, no, of course not. That's ridiculous. Okay, I agree with you. It's ridiculous. So what you're saying then is it's not just because the guy at the top makes more money than the guy at the bottom that determines what's a pyramid or not. Well, yes, I would agree with you on that. Okay, perfect. Then you've basically helped them tell themselves that the fact that somebody on the top making more money than the person on the bottom does not make that company a pyramid scheme, or if that was the case, it would be every single company on the planet. Now, again, I think it's in Eric Worre's book, the Go Pro book, where he says that, don't just jump all people. I like every corporation in America, like the company you work for. You don't want to do that kind of thing, because then you've just created a standoff, and you're not going to get anywhere to do that. You're best off to just ask them questions and lead them through why they think that, and have them answer that for them. And that's the easiest way for me. I mean, what else could you do, Rod, as far as that question? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. People think, well, the guy on the top is going to make the most money, and it's just simply every situation in every corporation, in every company.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting them to answer that question for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, and the interesting thing is, if that's really what they're thinking, then network marketing is absolutely, squashes that whole thought process, because we sat there and showed you how a person below that top person, and who really knows even who the top person is? I mean, there's different organizations in network marketing.
Right.
You don't even really know who the top person is, but, all you can do is go by your upline. But we showed you exactly how somebody 2 levels deep, and you could have 20 levels deep or 100 levels deep making more money than the person that's up there. I mean, that is what is so cool about network marketing, because it's your business. Each individual one of those pieces, it's your business and it's your organization, and it's completely up to you on what you do with it. So,
right.
If you and it's really, people have been in network marketing for years. There's some people that fail at it. There's some people that are successful at it. And, I can't go a session without mentioning something from Jim Rome, right?
Hit us with some Jim Rohn, buddy.
So, one of his favorite sayings is, "Why not you?" I mean,
Right.
Anybody can do this. I mean, there's been tons and tons of people that have been very successful in network marketing, and, it can be you just as easy as the next guy.
Right. No, I agree. Here's another thing, Rod. Here's another thing that's funny, is that people will say, well, you constantly got to be recruiting people to keep your business up. Yes, you do. Why? Think about, again, I had a retail store before. If I stopped bringing customers into my store, if I stopped marketing customers into my store, and I stopped bringing new customers through my doors, what happens? My business goes away. It goes
That's right.
business.
Yeah. I mean, I had a brick and mortar business as well. I mean, it's the same thing. You aren't successful in whether it's a physical building, whether it's an online business, whatever it is. I mean, you got to bring people through the door, and you got to sell them something. I mean, I don't care what business you have, you're selling some product or service. And if you're not doing that, then you're not making money, and you are, you're going to run the business into the ground and eventually, go broke. So
I have a friend of mine who is a building construction guy, and you can't survive off of one customer. You can't. I mean, he has to constantly be building new buildings and constantly be looking for new customers to build new buildings, or his business does not grow and it dies. Every company on the planet, restaurants, if you don't keep bringing new people in, your company your restaurant will never grow, and it will eventually die because people are going to get tired of going to the same restaurant. You have those customers that come in time after time again, and that keeps that steady income flowing in. But when you want to grow, you have to grow by having more people come in. And if you look at any of this kind of stuff, Rod, like people will say, well, there's not enough customers to go around for everybody. I totally agree, and that's why you'll see restaurants opening and closing their doors all the time. You'll see all kinds of businesses opening and closing their doors all the time, because the strong will survive, and the weak who could not bring in enough customers and could not keep customers coming through their doors are going to, and somewhere in here there's a whole nother show that we can do, but
for sure,
don't keep bringing people through the doors of your brick and mortar business, you will die. And if you don't keep bringing people into your network marketing business, it will die, or at least won't grow. And again, do the people at the bottom, do some people at the bottom not make any money? Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. They just, they'll pay their monthly membership fee or whatever they're doing, or buy their product on a monthly basis and never do anything more than that. Absolutely, they will just continue to do what they do, and they might not make any money at it. I almost dropped an F-bomb, but I caught myself. Every business on the planet is that way. I was looking for the buzzer to beat myself, but I couldn't. Every business on the planet is that way. That if you don't work it hard enough, if you don't do the right things, you will not make any money. And a lot of these businesses, you've got literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line before you figure that out, and they go away. So
and we're just about out of time, but I just want to throw just kind of one more example out there before we call it a wrap. But Paul, what do you think about this? I mean, McDonald's is probably one of the most known, companies in the world, right? For the most part.
I have no idea who they are.
Well, I mean, they're probably.
My wife knows. I have no idea. I don't go to McDonald's anymore, as far as my wife knows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, McDonald's is probably one of the most well-known companies in general overall, right?
Absolutely.
And do you still see advertisements for them?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the most well-known companies, and people flock to them, all the time. But they're still advertising on a daily basis, because if they stopped advertising and stopped promoting, their business would degrade. I don't think they would ever totally lose completely, but their income would go down if they didn't, continually, have that in front of people's face. Because the next guy, Burger King or Jack in the Box or KFC or whatever, if they're advertising, people tend to go where the advertising dollars are being spent. So
they are constantly recruiting new customers.
Exactly. That was really kind of the point of the whole the whole thing there. So
I agree. And again, you have those people that that do the whole, if you go so many levels deep, blah blah blah. It's too many people on the planet, not enough people on the planet. It's the same thing with restaurants. It's the same thing with everything. There's only so many customers to go around. We understand that. But if you build your business, if you work your business, and you do a good job of bringing people into your organization, there's no reason why you can't make a reasonable living and do very, very well in this industry as a network marketing professional.
Yep.
So that's it, guys. I mean, I know we got a little bit of a rant there at the end, which we normally do anyways. But
absolutely.
The pyramid, that's what we do. The pyramid objection is really just coming from a place of, not a place of ignorance, I don't like that word ignorance, but a place of not knowing and not understanding the industry and the profession and how everything works. And you can easily combat that by asking the right questions and leading that person into answering the objection themselves. And that's with a lot of objections. And when we go through some of the other objections in later shows, it's always about asking better questions of your prospects and of your customers.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm just gonna throw a quick plug in there. If since we're kind of on the network marketing schema tonight, Paul and I actually do a webinar every Saturday at 9 a.m. We're gonna throw a link to that registration page on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/theeveningbuzz. So if anybody's interested in looking at what we're doing, you're welcome to join us on that webinar. We do one every Saturday at 9 a.m. And we'll throw that on our Facebook page. So theeveningbuzz.com or facebook.com/theeveningbuzz. 9
a.m. Pacific time.
That's right.
Very cool. Very cool, Rod. Well, if you don't have anything else, or if you do have something else, hit it. But my name is Paul Charron, and I'm out of here from live over to Las Vegas. I'm done for the night, so Rod, take it home.
Yep, and I just appreciate everybody joining us. And, like I said, throw some comments on our Facebook fan page, and we'll see you tomorrow night, where we're going to be talking about competition at the global level. So keep an eye out for that, and we will see you tomorrow night.